corner where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get the dashing because you done on the warfare.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your basketball betting this season. Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at BetOnline. You'll find the latest odds, team matchups, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline is your basketball headquarters this season. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your bonus. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Chief Concerns post-draft special show that we got going for you guys. You got myself, Marcus Dash, and my brother, Teja Dash, for a second appearance in the Chief Concerns world. So happy to have you guys. I was starting to get more people to come in the chat. Big night tonight. Huge night. I know JD and I on the show had talked about the needs, and the needs were DT, DN, offensive tackle, receiver, and we've hit 3 of them so far. And now we just need defensive tackle, which we're going to get into later in the show because I think that'll be day 3's best available prospects. But kind of an interesting draft so far. I will say the one that kind of stuck out to me today was Green Bay going 2 tight ends. And I thought that was really interesting. But Teja, before we get in, because we're going to break down the Rasheed Rice draft pick and how that happened, and we're going to go into the Wanya Morris draft pick, break both those down, and then talk about day 3 available prospects. But what was something that stood out to you besides the Chiefs stuff today, Teja?
Man, I was so zoomed in on us. I let me just say before we get to like the nitty gritty of the picks, I wanted to talk about trades, ones that we did make, ones that we didn't make. Veach made it a point to talk about how he didn't trade out of that last pick of the first round, even though he could have, because he wanted to make sure he got Felix. He's like, I could have traded to the 40s and I had to trade back up in the 30s. And what am I doing at that point? And you got the second and third. We ended up trading up a couple spots, few spots, well, like 7 or 8 the first time, like 3 the second time. So it just showed you we knew who we wanted. We did not want to sacrifice and not miss out on Felix, and we didn't want to miss out on like a few spots of missing these guys. They very well could have dropped. Who knows? Maybe he got a little anxious and gun trigger happy at the end, but he wanted his guys, man.
Yeah, it seems that's kind of the thing, and I think what's come down to a lot in this draft, because we're seeing some people who are saying, oh, some guys are getting overdrafted. And it's like, I don't think guys are getting overdrafted. I just think teams with the draft, with the kind of selection of guys that's not really, there's not like that, the bona fide like star in each round. Like there's really not that. Yeah, there's been guys who have fallen a little bit, but I think for the most part, teams are kind of sticking to their own value boards, and they're going with their guy. They don't want to, like with our guy with FAU, we didn't want to see him go and not be able to get our guy, because you saw in the beginning of the second round, the edges were flying, and I think FAU probably would have been one of those guys, King Felix. Yep. Yeah. So we're gonna get into the draft. Our guy and Hefe KCSU buddy. I'm sure you're excited about the draft. But we're gonna get into our guy Rasheed Rice, who all draft season long, I've seen you on Twitter retweeting stuff. I've seen you get into it with Airhead Addict about Rasheed Rice's player comps, calling him a Chris Godwin light, and other things. And so obviously how that came about, receivers are flying off the board, and he's one of the last few big body type guys, I would say.
Definitely.
In the draft, because it's a draft of a lot of small guys, and you can even find a small guy tomorrow later on.
Yeah, there's plenty of them left.
We made it a point to trade up 8 picks to go ahead and with the Detroit Lions to get this guy who's probably going to play a similar role to a Juju type on our team, because he's got the same body and same kind of playing style, but obviously younger. But we traded with the Detroit Lions to get Rasheed Rice from SMU. Everyone's kind of raving about that. I think he had, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I believe he had led the nation in receiving yards per game last year.
I believe I saw that too. Yeah.
So we're getting a guy, and also it's a guy that Mahomes obviously put the green light to go ahead and get Rasheed Rice. And because we all know Veach ain't doing anything as far as receivers without talking to Mahomes about that. So that's a huge thing. But Teja, you've done a lot of research on Rasheed Rice over the last few months. Talk to me like I'm a guy who's never heard of Rasheed Rice in my life. What are we getting with Rasheed Rice from SMU?
So when I was looking at, like I said yesterday, I kind of did a million mock draft simulations. I know those aren't exact sciences by any means, but I wanted to see what kind of players were available, general sense in that that range of picks we had. I knew we wanted to replace a gadget type player in McColl and the intermediate route guy, bigger body guy in the Juju. Not to say Richie James is replacing McColl, but we did get a smaller guy, right? We haven't gotten that bigger guy. We're talking about Hopkins, who's kind of he's not a huge guy, but he's definitely a possession guy. He brings the ball in. He makes those middle of the field routes. In general, I mean, he's a big body yak guy. He kind of reminds me of the ball in his hands. And you watch some highlights. He's got a little Sammy Watkins in him with the ball in his hands. He bulldozes a little bit, kind of runs like a running back sometimes. I shared a clip online from the PFF, Steve, how he pancakes cornerbacks. So he's got that George Pickens in him. He just annihilates cornerbacks. He compared to, I think, Pacheco is what he did. Just got that dog in him, right? From what I've read about him, he's one of the most quarterback friendly receivers. Great at coming back for the ball. Great at noticing. They say he's the best, if not one of the best scramble drill receivers, which I think that played a huge part in probably why Mahomes loved him. I don't know if you probably heard about this by now, that he told Veach after he worked out with Rasheed Rice to go get him. It probably had something to do with that. He's got negatives. Of course he does. Like I said this to someone online because they're like, what about this? What about that? He's a 55th pick overall in a weak draft. Of course he's got negatives. Yes, the top 20 guy has negatives in this draft. I mean, come on. They're all pretty equal. You got to find your guy. You got to find your guy replacement. We're looking for a replacement for Juju. They think they found it in him. He's young. We got him under control for 4 years. That's pretty much what it is. We can all nitpick on these guys all kinds of time, right? So, his deep routes need work. He's got a pretty weak route tree. The burst off the line is questionable. But again, it's a 55th pick overall in a weak draft. Just take what you can get, work with them. All the scouts I've read as far as player comps, they all kept saying Godwin. And I did see a lot of similarities with other receivers too, because I did a whole deep dive into player comps and receivers. He was, I think, the most I saw for one player and for a player comp was Godwin and him. A lot of people said that about him. And we know you and I were watching a game earlier this season where I was like, man, Godwin would kill it in our offense. He'd be so good in our offense. Easily clear 100 catches. But yeah, positives are elite ball skills, scramble drill master, catch radius, bully ball yak, can be moved around, and the short intermediate demon.
And I think the scramble drill is something that I think is an underrated thing for us, whereas I think we probably prioritize the scramble drill aspect from a receiver more so than any other team in the league, obviously with Mahomes extending plays and all that stuff. So that's a huge thing, the fact that he already had that kind of in his arsenal. So I remember last year, a big thing when we brought Juju in was the kind of scramble drill aspect of things, because he said he really never had to worry about that with Big Ben. Obviously, if you played with Big Ben 15 years ago, yes, he probably would have had to do that, but he played with Big Ben at the latter part of his career, so he never really had to do that. That kind of thing. So
Ben tried, but it didn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't much scramble. It was more over easy.
Yeah, he was kind of over the hill at that point as far as doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, in order to get a guy like that, so you mentioned Chris Godwin, which yes, you talk about Chris Godwin, a like guy in this offense with Kelce and him with rub routes all day in the middle of the field, the possession, move the chains kind of guy. and the fact that he's young, a young talent. Yeah, 55th pick. He's not going to be. If he had all pros and there were no cons to him, we would have gotten him. He'd be a first round pick, and we would have had to trade up all the way to get something like that. So that's one thing I've seen a lot of people are trying to nitpick and call out things. Our guy Lewis Cutbirth. Okay, so you did a little deep dive on this, and I know Lewis has been kind of a harsh critic to all of our picks so far, going to last year or yesterday and today. But this is something. It's a good point. The drops aspect. That's something that I've seen mixed bag. Chris Sims online on Twitter said great hands, but then I saw also at the same point people were talking about he had inconsistent hands. Yeah. So when you've done your research, obviously you have no stock in Rasheed Rice, although it seems like it because you bought the stock many months ago.
I did buy it. I bought big.
But what do you, as far as what you've seen, so you've taken such a deep dive on him? Obviously, we will all watch highlights of every guy, and we'll think they're freaking all-stars. They don't drop passes ever. Highlights. But talk to us about what you've read about the hands aspects. I've seen a mixed thing. Some are saying he's got great hands. Some are saying he's got bad hands. Talk to me about that.
I didn't really see a lot of. He might have had a bad game. Okay, great. Tyreek Hill had a lot of drops with the Chiefs. I don't know if I necessarily say Tyreek Hill has a drop problem. Has he had bad games before and bad stretches? Sure. I didn't see that as one of his main negatives. The biggest negatives I saw, like I said, were just his route tree. A lot of it was his get off. He can't release that well off the line as well, considering how the PFF guy said too about him was, considering how big and physical he is, you'd expect him to run through contact all the time. He doesn't always run through contact. When he gets kind of held up by a cornerback, it kind of stops him dead in his tracks. And not that that's an unusual thing for a young receiver, a college receiver, but the way he plays and his size and how physical he is, they said you wouldn't expect him to get stopped the way he does, even by smaller cornerbacks. He doesn't play up to his size. I mean, he's obviously physical if the same people are talking about him pancaking cornerbacks and tossing them around on run plays. He's a physical guy. Will he get better at that? I mean, hopefully he's going to win more consistently. But I think the Chiefs have a lot of options at receiver, and they don't need to force someone into a position that they're not ready for. I don't think we are going to throw Rice in a position. He doesn't need to. We have a lot of guys. We're not a top-heavy team with a bunch of bums after it. Those days are over. We have a lot of options to spread it around with. A lot like Sky Moore this year. We didn't force him into a lot of stuff. If you saw, we started doing a lot of the bubble screens to him. Just get him going. Find his niche. Find his the point where he can contribute and work off that, and then work on his rough spots, like his route tree, like his release package. But I mean, if you look at, he's got incredible ball skills. He has one of the best catch radiuses in any player of the draft. He catches really tough balls. He catches passes you don't think he's going to catch. So yeah, might have drop problems sometimes, sure. But if you have one of the best catch radiuses, and he had 16 contested catches last year, I mean, he's might have some bad spots, but I wouldn't say that's a problem for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason why I asked that is because now I know Lewis brought up the one bad game that he had against Cincinnati, but I think it was Kuiper or McShay had mentioned that he had inconsistent hands, but then I saw the Chris Sims thing where he said he had, great hands. And then I think also Klatt on the NFL Network, they were praising the pick and saying how solid guy in all aspects. And it's another weapon in the arsenal for Mahomes and the Chiefs.
He had 156 targets, man.
So it's also that SMU that offense is
insane amount. So you are gonna
true.
How many people on this chat can name SMU's quarterback?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So I don't know how accurate. There you go. That was a quick one. I knew someone was going to come back. I knew. It's like someone's got to say it at some point here. Anyway, the point is, like, a lot of these top receivers, what do they have in common? Addison, top quarterback. Njigba, top quarterback. I mean, even Quentin Johnson, a good quarterback. That matters. 156 targets for a not so great quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also there's more chances of drops when you're in offenses that pass so much. There's also it's like an offense that drops back so much. Those tackles are going to allow more sacks and more pressure than an offense that doesn't drop back so much. So I mean, yeah, it all matters. That's context matters everything. I think I saw our guy Cole here. Rasheed Rice is not related to Jerry Rice as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately, not. But hey, we can call him Jerry Rice when he has a big game.
You might hear some cheesy commentator jokes about that if he has a good game.
Yeah, he's looking like Jerry Rice today.
May not be related to him, but hey, he's playing like him today. I'll tell you that much. One of those.
Lewis Cuthbert. Yeah, Mahomes did want CH. Yeah, it didn't work out. So, oh yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So he might have had a 2-year crossover with Buechele.
Oh man, that means the Chiefs fans should love him because
they should. Yeah,
he's got like the third biggest like fan corner of any player on our team.
This is true. And also, one thing about Rasheed Rice, I know he's the fastest guy. We ran 4.51 for a guy his size. That's pretty solid.
I mean, okay, yeah.
And that's the thing. I saw a lot of people using that as a negative against him. Our receiver room doesn't lack speed at all. That's not an issue. And he's not going to be the burner on our team anyway. We have plenty of guys to be the burner. So that's one thing I just want to like kind of point out to that.
He's here to catch tough balls, and catch contested balls. That's his main attribute. We didn't get him to be our speedster deep threat. That's not who he is.
Yeah, we need another guy outside of Kelce who can move the chains. Yeah. Because I think all of us don't want to have to go into an AFC Championship game with Marcus Kemp or McCall Hardman trying to catch these contested balls in between the hash marks. Hardman did it and re-injured himself. Let's not forget that. That's not his job. Those small gadget guys aren't supposed to be doing that kind of stuff. A guy like this is supposed to be doing that. So keep that in mind.
His other player comps that I saw, by the way, were Brendan Ayuk, and Michael Gallup.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Solid.
I mean, I think anybody would. I mean, a lot of people here wanted to probably trade their second round pick for Brandon. Well, first, I think Niners wanted a first round pick for Ayuk. Yeah, no, I do agree with Noah John Marshall here. I mean, I think Pat has to be cut in on a lot of this. All the stuff we're seeing, especially with pass catchers, defense, and sure, they don't have to bring in Pat for that, but we're utilizing Pat as a resource and an asset with this whole Texas camp he has. We were able to try out guys like Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Rasheed Rice. We're able to get guys in that system with him to see what's going on and how's it looking. So, yeah, so it's a beautiful thing to have Pat be able to do that.
And Mahomes didn't have a whole day to play with CEH, and afterwards he gave his seal. He just liked his playing style and said, oh yeah, get that guy for our team. He actually spent a day playing with Rice. So he has a good idea of what he's about and what he's going to bring. And I'm not sure when he made – I don't know the timeline because Lefko didn't really get into that, but he told Veach, go get this guy after working out with him. I don't know at that point if he also worked out with Johnston and Flowers. So I don't know if he was like, this is the guy you need, not the other two. I don't know how that went, but I mean, I know at the end of the day, he gave, the seal of approval for Rice, which means something when your quarterback says that.
Well, and I'll say this too. I mean, obviously Pat's kind of weighing everything, right? If you, based on the play with those guys, right? So he threw around with all three of them. If he's saying go get Rice, he obviously knows Rice is going to come later. So I'd rather, it's okay to get this guy in the second round. You don't need to trade up or do anything drastic to get one of those two. It's not that. Pretty much what all the experts been saying. It's not that big of a drop off from wide receiver 4 to wide receiver 9.
Also, for everyone in the chat, we're not a normal team. We're not like the Bears trying to make a star out of a guy in the second round. We're different than that. We have the benefit of one of the best play callers of all time and one of the best quarterbacks of all time and one of the best O-lines in the NFL. So we're not the normal situation. If they think I can scheme up a good offense with this guy, I know exactly what to do with him. They already have that plan in mind. It just honestly, as cliche as it sounds, like let them cook, let them just do it. If that's the ingredient they need to make the perfect burger, let them friggin' make the perfect burger. I say burger because I know we all know Randy Reed loves burgers, so do I. But just let them do what they need. It's like watching someone throw something into a pan. You're like, whoa, Dude, they're a world-renowned chef. If they throw too much cayenne in there, none of your business. Just let them do it. Like, just let them put it in the pot.
That's a good analogy. It's true. And I think that's one thing that I sometimes get annoyed trying to have nuanced conversations with fans. I'm sure everyone on the chat can understand this. On Twitter, when you say stuff, it's like, well, the response about who we should draft. But it's true. At the end of the day, I can have a draft crush all I want to. We can have a draft crush, but
Sure.
But the moment we go in a different direction or draft somebody else, like, oh, okay. I had a tweet earlier. I wanted DeJuan Jones. DeJuan Jones is still on the board. We ended up drafting Wanya Morris. We're gonna get into a little bit. But I had a different quote tweet. I said, okay, Wanya Morris, let's get it. And someone's like, well, I thought you wanted DeJuan Jones. It's like, well, I did. We didn't go in that direction, but now I'm all aboard on the Wanya Morris. So that's kind of the way things should be going, because Veach has given us no reason not to trust him. I know there are some doubters out there with the whole Dorsey versus Veach stuff, but like, Veach has not given us any reason to doubt him. He hasn't. CH missed, but look at his late round picks. Look at everything he's done.
Can he be wrong? Sure, he could be wrong. I mean, he's not a perfect GM. I mean, these guys, it's not perfect. This whole system is not perfect. And again, this was not a great draft by any means. So, but if that is who they deem the best guy to fit a void that's been clearly left by another guy, in this case, Juju, that's just got to give it to him.
What was the you were telling me something about what Reed had said about Juju and replacing Juju, the kind of guy he wanted with Juju?
I mean, he was just kind of describing Rice. Just not great at anything, just really good at a lot of things. Not the biggest guy, but big enough. Not the fastest guy, but fast enough. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's not a Tyreek Hill, but he's a reliable guy to get the ball into and get you out of a jam. It's pretty much what Rice is to a T.
Yeah.
I mean, those player comps, and someone was even like, oh, Godwin ran a 4.42. I'm like, first off, 4.42, 4.51. It's not a huge difference. And he had a better 10-yard split. He had a better vertical. He had a better broad jump. He's got longer arms and bigger hands than Godwin. So there you go. I think that makes up for the 0.9.
Yeah, no, for sure. All that matters, especially the 10 yards in this offense, what he's going to be able to do.
Yes.
The 10-yard split. So Noah John Marshall. So he pointed out that Rasheed Rice played with Shane Buechele in 2020. They were together, and those are his numbers right there. 48 catches for 683 yards when he played with Shane Buechele. So, hey, I'm sure Buechele had a hand in trying to get Mahomes to take a little deeper look at Rasheed Rice. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they both work with Bobby Stroud, so that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Buechele.
That was 2 years ago, too. Okay. So, I mean, he was a young buck.
Yeah. He had 5 touchdowns that year. So, yeah, I mean, hey, I could definitely see that playing a factor in this whole thing.
Hey, Rice might be catching passes from Buechele in preseason.
You damn right. They're going to tear it up in the third team.
Yeah.
This is a question though. So obviously, everyone who watches the show knows how me and JD are the biggest DeAndre Hopkins fans. And we'll get into that this coming week with JD. But I want to ask you, Teja, as kind of what you've seen. Do you think that the Rasheed Rice addition means no more DeAndre Hopkins?
I mean, never say never because it's Veach, but I don't. If we had drafted one of the small dartier receivers, or the deep threats, I'd say it's still okay. We're in an okay position to get D-Hop, but I just think now we have some skill set redundancies. I don't think they're ever going to, if it's a great deal and Arizona's swallowing salary or something, I don't think we'd say no because of Rice, because let's be honest, Hopkins is a 1 to 2 year deal, probably maybe 3 at the most. Okay. So I don't think that's stopping anything, but I think it's less likely getting a guy like Rice's skill set. I'll put it that way.
But here's the one thing I will have a pushback to that, because I'm a big Hopkins fan. But obviously, if Rice is the guy, then that's fine. But going back to 2013, if you look at rookie receivers, the numbers they put up, because this offense is not the normal offense. It's a very tricky offense to understand. But going back to 2013, this is all the numbers of all the rookie receivers we've had. So Sky Moore, 22 catches, 250 yards, 0 touchdowns. Regular season. Cornell Powell, 0, 0, 0. McCole Hardman, 26 catches, 538 yards, 6 touchdowns his rookie season. Tremont Smith, 0-0-0. Jehu Chesson, 2 catches, 18 yards. Demarcus Robinson, 0-0-0. Tyreek Hill, 61 catches, 593 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's the outlier, I would have to say. Chris Conley, 17 catches, 199 yards, 1 touchdown. And Deron Brown, 0-0-0. So when you hear that, all the rookies, what the rookies have done since the Andy Reid.
And even, I mean, he wasn't a rookie last year, but even Kadarius Toney Hart, I mean, he didn't play even half a season for the Giants.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying these guys, the rookies have a hard time kind of breaking through. Rookie receivers have a hard time breaking through in the Andy Reid offense, at least in the 10 years he's been with us. So, I mean, that tells you something. I mean, that there could be a possibility that we still go get a veteran. That's what it tells me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, we have the veteran, if you want to say MVS, though. So we do still have that.
But if we're talking productivity, though, the productivity behind the rookie receivers not really not doing anything in this offense.
Well, I agree. I mean, look, as it stands, I mean, I think we all agree Mahomes is going to throw for 45 to 5,200 yards, right? I mean, somewhere in that range,
more or less, yeah.
Besides Kelce's 12 to 1,400, that's a lot of yards. It's going somewhere, man. At least 2 guys are catching 900 or 800.
Yeah.
You got about 3 or 4 that are probably going to be over 600. Let's go ahead and say MVS is one of those. I mean, if it's not Rice, it's got to be Toney. It's got to be Sky Moore, unless Richie James totally steps up. We're going to need to see production. I know Tony's not a rookie, but he was basically a rookie in our offense. He came in mid-season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, his last 2 years combined in the NFL, he started eight games. So he hasn't even played a full season yet, right? Yeah. Pretty much a rookie in our offense. Sky Moore was a rookie in our offense. Rasheed Rice will be a rookie. Like, they're going to have to find their way. I mean, Mahomes is going to have to just throw them open and just they're going to have to adapt. I will say, with the kind of player, with the kind of skill set Rice is bringing, it is friendly in this offense, right? If he's really, really good at finding a soft spot, finding an open spot just to sit and catch a ball, he will get playing time because Mahomes will utilize that.
But regardless, whether we get Hopkins or not, let's just say we don't get Hopkins, this receiver room is very fun and young and hungry. That's one thing JD said. Whether we don't get Hopkins or not, this receiver room is a very hungry and young room. And even, let's say, talk about the Rosses, John Ross and Justin Ross. John Ross, first round pick who's really done nothing in this league, and he's hungry to make a name for himself. Hopefully, maybe he does one in Kansas City. Don't know. I think that's going to go the same way Corey Coleman went last year, really make the team. But then you have Justin Ross coming off the injury, potentially could make some noise in this offseason, in this offense as to battle back from the injury. So maybe that can happen. But then you got the young guys, Sky Moore, the Western Michigan doubted him. And then Rashee Rice, new guy. So there's a lot there with this receiver.
It's going to be fun. I thought last year was going to be fun. This is going to be even more fun.
Oh, 100%.
This is like a total mystery.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm happy that we ended up getting this guy. I mean, I'm happy we didn't go for another guy of the same mold of the small little guys. And
we needed something different.
Yeah, we have enough of those. We have enough of those for sure. All right, we're going to get into our next pick. But before that, I just want to make sure anybody who's in the room right now, we have around 40 people. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, contribute, help us make content for you guys. JD and I, every week we're putting in the work to get the content to you all, and just throwing it out there. Contribute to us, and we got some good stuff coming up in the off season and during training camp. And more goodies for you guys too. More giveaways. We got Corey the Artist giveaway. He's giving away one of his paintings. And then also we're gonna have this ball that I'm giving away, and you guys will see that today. Nice Super Bowl memorabilia item for your collection. So a lot of good stuff coming, guys. So contribute to the channel, subscribe to the channel, like it, tell your friends about it. Let's get chief concerns on everyone's radar. Okay, man. What's that?
I said, yeah, man, absolutely.
Well, you always hear about chief concerns. You're always hearing about it. Okay, we're going to get into a fun one, tackle. And it's funny how we're talking about tackle being fun, but Wanya Morris. So last pick of the night. We traded up a little bit to go get Wanya Morris, tackle, which we needed desperately. JD and I had us drafting a tackle in the first round. Didn't happen, obviously. But Wanya Morris, a guy who finished his career at Oklahoma. Interesting. He started at Tennessee at left tackle with our guy Trey Smith. So him and Trey Smith were boys. So there's connection there. Trey Smith and Wanya Morris at Tennessee together. Then I think after the COVID season, Wanya transferred to Oklahoma, where he competed for the left tackle spot. Then he ended up transferring over to the right tackle,
left tackle being Anton Harrison.
Yes. So he was the right tackle.
It's worth noting that the other tackle was a first round tackle.
For sure. Yeah. Yes. I mean, he could get the left tackle spot, and then he ended up going to the right tackle. And look, now he's going to compete at the right tackle spot. And amazingly enough, if he wins that right tackle job, he's going to be the right tackle next to his teammate, Trey Smith, who was his left guard in college when he was a left tackle. But now both of them be over on the right side together, which I think is just funny to see how that happened. And I want to say, I think Trey Smith probably had a hand in this. They definitely talked to him about Wanya Morris a little bit further in order for the fact that we traded up to get him. So, Teja, in doing your due diligence on draft research over the last few months, what do we need to know about Wanya Morris?
He wasn't a guy I did a ton of work on, but I did do a lot of reading on him, obviously recently, especially after we picked him. Going into the pick, I was thinking pick 95 really is going to show us how we feel about a tackle. There are a lot of names out there. Freeland, DeJuan Jones, who might have some injury concerns. Maybe that's why he's still out there. Morris. There are a lot of guys capable of competing for that right tackle position at some point this season. So if we didn't take one of them, that meant we were genuinely secure with the combination of Niang and Kennard. We ended up taking one. So it does show you we have still been on the hunt for a tackle, obviously. And he might possibly, compete and possibly take it. From what I read, I saw it wasn't one of those one guy said good catcher, one guy said inconsistent hands. It was pretty consistent with him. They said if you made a right tackle in a lab, it would be like Morris. Just extremely long arms, extremely long reach. They say he breaks down. He's not fundamentally sound, and he starts to break down on contact. But I'll tell you, I saw clips of him going against Derek Hall at the Senior Bowl, man, and he was working him, at least in the clips I saw. A lot of people have him penciled in as the right tackle this moment, which I think is a little premature. He was 74th on PFN's overall board. They called it a steal. CBS said he wasn't the typical Oklahoma masher. So he's a little different from the Oklahoma tackles and big guys that we've seen, but has starting right tackle ability. The most common things I read, he needs to get stronger, redefine his technique, but he's got the classic RT build. He's got a long arms, wingspan, has it all. He just needs a positional coach to whip him into shape is what I heard. So again, we got a guy who we can coach up and be what we want to be. He's got it there. Everyone says about him, he's got it there. He just needs someone to work with him and refine him a little bit. We have that. And, maybe Niang's not the long-term answer at tackle, but if Morris needs half a season or, maybe the whole season to figure it out, we do have guys that can fill in. It doesn't, we didn't have a Pro Bowl right tackle last year. Let's not kid ourselves. And the grades I saw on him overall were A-, B+, B-, B+, B-.
Yeah, and the one thing that I did see about him that I saw from a few different people is he's got a bit of a mean streak in him. He's got
nasty.
He's a nasty right tackle, which is funny because we have a guard on our line who also went to the University of Tennessee at one point in his career, who's got a little bit of nastiness, mean streak to him. So I don't know if that's a Tennessee thing, how they train those guys over there, but I would love to have that on one side. And I think the cool thing about this is we're drafting a third-round guy, right tackle, who could easily be our starting right tackle. I mean, that spot is so wide open.
It is.
It's literally Kennard, Wanya Morris, or Lucas Niang to win that job, which I think it's just crazy that we could potentially have a starting right tackle in the third round. Not many teams can say they can pull away a guy maybe starting right off the bat in day 3 or day 2 in the third round. It's interesting. Yeah, also an interesting nugget about him. Yeah, this is his Oklahoma bio says he was named after the singer from Boyz II Men.
I read that.
This is true. They were talking about on NFL Network that's why he was named after that. So I think someone online thought he was the son of that singer from Boyz II Men, but no, he was just named after that guy.
Hey man, whatever gets Boyz II Men trending on Twitter, I'm in.
Is it trending on Twitter?
I mean, if you type in his name, all you see are like Boyz II Men like album covers. It's down, draped along the screen.
That's funny. Well, you could probably make a good I could probably whip up something funny with Trey Smith and him.
I see some great thumbnails in our future.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. But yeah, I mean, based on yesterday we got King Felix D end. Today we got wide receiver and we got tackle. We're pretty much going. I mean, that's the beauty about whatever people could say when they want dog Veach, they can dog Veach. But consistently every year with Veach, we literally go for our needs. And I remember there were so many years in Kansas City where we were just drafting. It wasn't random. I'm sure there's reasons behind it, but it was like, what are we doing? We're missing out on what we need.
Yeah.
And I feel like consistently every year with Brett Veach. And I call out Veach sometimes. I'm not Veach's biggest fan. I'm not going to be somebody on here who just dogs him consistently. But Veach literally checks off what we need every year in the draft. We come away oh crap, every offseason after the Super Bowl a few years ago. What do we need? What do we lack? We were old in the offensive line. What happened? We revamped the offensive line. That there was no long-term process for that. It was a 1-year turnaround.
Yeah.
And this draft, we had 4 specific needs. One that we're probably going to get into in the next round. But I mean, it's unreal to finally have a GM who actually knows what's going on here. And it's also great because he's a younger guy who probably looks at the YouTube, he looks at Twitter, he looks at all this stuff, and he's compiling it all. Not that he's taking anything from Twitter or YouTube, but he's listening to the fans. He sees what we need. He knows. He's got common sense, which I think is awesome to have, that we are in this position where we have a GM who's literally going check mark by check mark by everything we actually need, and not just drafting BPA. Well, why? Because why not? We can draft that guy. Well, no, let's go get the position we need, right? So,
I think a good way to describe Veach is he goes after our positional needs. He goes after our positional needs without feeling like he's reaching on a position. I feel like he lets the board come to him, but he's still going after our needs, which is maybe why he traded up, because we don't know their board. Their board could have aligned at a perfect time where he's like, all right, you know what? It's close. I don't want this guy to get taken, because if he doesn't, the next guy on our positional board for tackle is way down there. He's close. We're close. Let's spend the 6th round to go get him. I feel like that's probably why he does that. I feel like when you get too invested in drafting for need, you get a little desperate. And when you get desperate, you make poor decisions. I feel like he does a good job of balancing that. And lately our needs have been pretty obvious. But yeah, you hear other fans say it all the time, what the hell? We needed a blank. You drafted a what? All the time with any team, not just ours over the years, but most teams have this problem. I feel like it's been obvious, and I feel like he just gets it. It's not rocket science, man. You have shortcomings, you have future big contracts coming up, you have depth. You guys got to figure those things out.
Yeah. And Noah John Marshall, you were 100% correct. That probably is the only thing. He always does look cracked out and he hasn't slept in weeks. Which is, you're right, it's a good thing. That means we know he's working the phones. He's doing his job.
True.
We know he's not sleeping until he'll sleep when Mahomes retires, I guess.
Yeah.
What are the chances the Chiefs draft the receiver, or do we just go get best player available? There is. I mean, I still think there is one significant need that we need to address tomorrow right off the gate. It's defensive tackle. Actually, let's get into that now. Our BPA, or the best players available for tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
I think D tackle needs to be addressed tomorrow, if not 1 or maybe 2 times. I don't want to be in a position again where we have to go out and get Brandon Williams midway through the season because our defensive tackle situation is so bad next to Chris Jones. So I hope we can get some young guys who can be a plugger. I saw the dude from Baylor. I can't pronounce what's his name.
Ika.
Ika.
I think his name is Ika.
he goes at almost the last pick of the third round. I mean, I would have loved if we trade package maybe 2 of our 6 tomorrow for another third to get a guy like that. That'd have been nice, but yeah, I think DT needs to be the one thing we go at. And if we do want to go spend a pick on a receiver with one of our 7th, or we only have 1 7th left, our 7th or one of our 6s, yeah, because we have a 4th, 5th, 6th, 6th, and 7th. We have 5 picks left.
First pick of the 6th too, so it's basically a late 5th.
Late 5th, yeah. I mean, so 5 picks left. You can maybe you could package 2 of those to maybe get another 4th, another 5th. I don't know how it's going to play out tomorrow, but I think as of right now, I think you go BPA tackle. So we've got 5 left. You go BPA tackle. I think you go secondary, possibly safety. It's kind of right now. I think there's actually a pretty decent amount of safeties left. A good amount. And then at that point, maybe go running back. Deuce Vaughn's still out there. Maybe go tight end. I don't know. I think the priority for me is DT, and if they want to throw in another edge, why not? Go draft another edge. You can never have too many of them, but I think we need to kind of stick with the D line. That's where I'm going. Tej, I don't know what you're thinking about for tomorrow.
I wish we could have traded our 134 instead of our 122 and then move up for Rice, but whatever. So we lost one of our 4ths, which sucks, but still. So we have our 134. I'm with you on that. I would predict DT. Jacqueline Roy still out there for LSU. I was a big fan of him coming into these rounds. I thought he was going to go in the 3rd. 2 massive pluggers in Keandre Coburn and Gerard Clark. Big DTs, big pluggers. Maybe we can let Noddy go after the season with one of these guys filling in for the next 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
Some good safeties out there. Antonio Johnson, Christopher Smith. A lot of talented receivers. The cool thing is about taking Rice too, and I know people are still kind of clamoring for another receiver. Rice is not like a lot of these guys that are left too. We still have a lot of the darty receivers, like Tyler Scott's still out there. Trey Palmer, the deep threat, still out there. So we have guys we can still get a speedier deep threat receiver, and it won't be like, well, we just drafted 2 Rices. So we can get differences there. Still some cornerbacks out there. There are a lot of edge rushers out there. So I wouldn't be surprised. It's a strength. Again, like we said yesterday, we don't know what their real plan is with Menahue. If they do decide to use him more inside than we think, then really there is another DN open spot. Not open spot, but like another rotational piece we can have. And Dan is on his last year of his contract anyway, so that's pretty much a 1-year deal, and he might be gone. Probably will be gone. So really, I mean, edge is not crazy at all, especially if that's the strength of the draft. And like I heard I said this yesterday, the PFF guy said 75 to 200 are the strengths of this draft. So we're coming up. We just entered pretty much the strong part of this draft.
I see Noah's talk about kicker here. Right? You're gonna trigger a lot of fans here, Noah, by saying that. But I think it's never a bad thing to bring in the kickers for competition, just to make sure, hey, Bucker, like, you went on a little bit of a streak there where you look pretty off as far as making your extra points. Maybe why not? I wouldn't say maybe not draft one, but you could probably pick one up and just have them like a little kicking leg for camp. But as far as edge rushers, because I think I think we will see an edge rusher. If we keep all 5 of these picks, I think we might draft another edge rusher. One name that I didn't see earlier, maybe he got drafted, Isaiah McGuire. Is he still available?
He is still available.
What do you make about that? Do you think he? I mean, I think he definitely fits the Spags.
Yeah, as far as makeup, he fits it for sure. Yeah, there are a lot of guys left. I was trying to pull up the who's left board, but I noticed just like, and I actually read the PFF guys talking about this too. They didn't really see a big difference from rusher like 5 to 10, but the guys from like 10 to like 16, 17 are so close in their draft grade. They're just it's a really deep, not a great high end, not a lot of bona fide first round edge rushers, but it's just a very deep class. So, I mean, again, you can never enough edge rushers. So
outside of DT and D end, what would be another position you'd want us to get with we have 5 picks left. You mentioned maybe getting a small darty receiver at this draft.
Receiver, I would go Reed is going to have the fifth, I think, largest contract on our roster coming up this season. Can you honestly tell me Reed should be our fifth highest paid player on our team? Seriously, I mean, like, like, forget about. I'm not saying he's bad, so don't pull Twitter on me and say just because I'm saying this he's bad. He's not bad, but should Justin Reed be our fifth highest paid player? I cannot. I don't think so. I don't think
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a cap casualty next year.
So there you go. So really, I mean, I know we just drafted one and we just signed Edwards to a 1-year deal. So what do we really got beyond this year? Cook? I mean, we don't have a lot beyond this year at safety. So could we, if the safety drops and we like him and we think he has a starting capability, absolutely. I think yeah. There's a couple of good like both Antonio Johnson, Christopher Smith, Rangy can play at the line, can play coverage, can play nickelback. We love that versatility. We love that. So I could totally see us going DB. I could see us taking a flyer on Andrew Voorhees. I'm still a big fan. His doctor just pretty much cleared him and said he'll make a full recovery. He could play right tackle. He could play guard. We might get a steal on him. He had like 3rd round grades at one point before his ACL. You get him in the 5th or 6th. You're talking about a possible starting guard. Let's say Trey Smith wants a mint in free agency in a couple years. You don't have to pay him anymore if you have Voorhees waiting in the wings, right? So with Mahomes' contract, you got to think in the future like that because we have to be finding the best deal at every position. It's money ball for us for the rest of our time with Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, you hope at some point this cap's going to go up and up and up, where we can afford some of these guys that we have.
High five. I said it earlier. Rasheed Rice's comps, mostly Chris Godwin. A lot of guys said Godwin. A little Brendan Ayuk. A little Michael Gallup.
That's a pretty good tweener right there between the 3 guys. I mean, shit.
Fantastic.
I would love any 3 of those guys.
Everyone was willing to give their 1st round pick for Ayuk.
I know.
I mean, Godwin would kill it in our offense. Talk about finding soft spots and making Mahomes' life easy. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. Okay. So draft grade. So far, if you were to grade this draft, and I'd love to hear from you guys as well in the chat. If you were to grade this draft, what would you give so far of the 3 picks that we've had so far? What would you go individually? But they give me an overall grade. How would you give this first end of the semester?
God, it's so hard to give draft grades though until you see them actually perform. But it's also too because they know stuff we just don't, right? When you see a guy drop, we were just like, oh man, people just forgot about him. No one forgot about the guy. No one forgot about DeJuan Jones. He's like 6'8", 380 pounds. You can't forget him. So it's not that forgetting a guy, it's that he might have character. I actually read Morris had some character stuff. He like hit a player coming off a field or something after the game. I think I read he got suspended 2 games for something related.
Hey man, I like that fiery type of guy. He's mad. Want to win.
Yeah. But yeah, you just don't know. You don't know what they know things we don't. So was Rice about to be taken a pick later? Maybe. Was Veach just getting a little anxious and he wanted to move up and just get it done? Possibly. We don't know those things though. We found out later on McDuffie was about to get traded or drafted. That made all the sense to the world and the sense of the world to us. So like we just don't know things that are happening behind the scenes.
So you're not going to give me a letter grade? Come on.
Okay. I hadn't really thought about that. I'll give it a.
I see you, Hefe. Hell yeah, baby. Well, B+ action. I like that.
I'm between B and B+. Just because I don't know if the trades were necessary, but I don't know that, right? I'm just judging it purely off the guys we got. I'd say B or B+. I give it a B+ because Veach has been working hard. He's tired. He's you see the kid like come in with like bags under his eyes, like bringing the paper in. You're gonna give him a little, give him a break,
Okay, so B+. Okay, so let's go round by round. So first round, what would you give FAU there? Now that we know what we know about how the second round went with the edge rush, Derek Hall going like shortly after I think it was 3rd pick of the second round, and then a bunch of guys. But where would you now that we know what we know? Where would you go? FAU.
I'd say B plus.
Okay.
I always wanted him anyway where he was. So I mean,
yeah.
The only thing is, even in my mock drafts, I tried trading out in the 30s, like the mid-late 30s, to get him, and you might have been okay. But again, Veach explained, like, there were no mid-30s to be traded. I'd have to trade to the 40s and trade back into the 30s. So at that point, it wasn't worth all that. It's nonsense. So I give it a B plus because that we had to stay there and pick him.
Okay, Rasheed Rice.
Rasheed Rice, I'll give, and I love Rasheed Rice. I'll give it a B because trading 122 was pretty rough for me. I wanted to keep that pick. I don't know if the trade was necessary, and if it was, I wish we could have got done for the 134. But I'll go like that. That's a B plus right there.
And then lastly, Wanya Morris.
We didn't give up a lot to move up a little bit, so I like the trade there. I didn't know as much about Morris. I'd give him a B.
All right,
that's why I mean it's B plus, B plus, B close, and then B.
It all averages out to
yeah, it's right around there. Are you trying to find holes in my grading?
Yeah, a little bit. Beach at 303. Why has DeJuan Jones not been drafted yet? Is he hurt or is it just talent? I believe based on what I'm reading online, it's medical red flags with him, and also I think I also read that someone had said that he had gained weight in the last pro day or something. I guess his weight had gone up a little bit, so that's kind of a red flag there. And there's also some other medical red flags. I don't really know what the medical red flags are, but I mean, I'm a big DeJuan Jones fan. If he falls for some reason to the 6th round, I could see us taking him.
6th?
I'm saying if he continues to fall, I'm saying I could see us. We're a team
that's more than falling, dude. That's like
3 rounds.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's
okay. If he falls to the 5th round, I can see us.
If he falls to the 6th round, something's majorly wrong with him. That teams just are like took him off their draft board.
That's what happened with the time of Trey Smith. I mean,
yeah, it's true. It's true. But DeJuan Jones was a fringe, like 1st, 2nd round talent, though.
Yeah. Well, Trey Smith was supposed to be like Bucky. What's his name? Bucky Brooks had him as like his top guard in the draft, and he.
But I think at best, he was looking like the late 2nd, 3rd range.
Okay,
fringe 1st is like
we still
falling to the 6th.
Yeah, but he still went to the 6th round though. So I mean, that's a big fall from grace. And we're talking about first, 2nd tweener, and the guys in the if he goes to the 6th round, I think he'll be drafted shortly.
Yeah, it's a fall. Yeah.
I think the ironic thing is, I think someone brought it up in the chat, but drafting Wanya Morris, and then trading with the Bengals to get that pick to draft a guy from Oklahoma. The irony in there is just that writes itself right there.
I know, it's funny. I also think it's funny. Just a side note. When they were talking about when we were traded up, they were speculating. They had the pick right. They thought it was going to be a tackle. When they said DeJuan Jones, like, nah, and I think McShay was like, nah, DeJuan Jones, this profile doesn't really fit here. They're not really looking for his kind of guy. I was like, his kind of guy?
What?
6'8", 350 plus from Oklahoma. We just had that guy for 2 years. What do you mean? I'm like, what?
DeJuan Jones, Ohio State.
Sorry. So, but we a 6'8", 360 pounder. We just had a guy exactly like that.
Yeah.
In fact, DeJuan Jones is like player comp, I believe, was Orlando Brown. So
really? But I feel like his whole the way he's built, just he looks more normal.
He's a lot more distributed.
Yeah.
More distributed. Yeah, he is. He's what's his name's more of a candy apple, but
yes, yeah. Candy apple with legs.
Yeah.
Larry, we kind of went over this earlier. It was kind of a mixed bag here between me and Teja. I just said that I think we should still be in play with for D-Hop. I think that rookie receivers in this offense have a hard time grasping or even doing anything. And I looked at, I showed stats or set stats from going back to 2013, how rookie receivers in the Chiefs offense, Andy Reid's offense, haven't really done anything. So to say Rasheed Rice did come in first year, actually make some noise on the offense is there's nothing really to prove that. So I think we should still be in on D-Hop, but I guess we'll see what happens with that.
Marcus is trying to find reasons why D-Hop is still in play. Is the synopsis of that?
I think there's other people on the ether who would agree with me on this.
People want him, but I think if you're talking about a heart and head distribution of where those words came from, I think those came from the heart.
Okay. Let me just ask you then.
70-30 heart head.
All right. Okay. So let's just go over it now then. Since we're talking about Rasheed Rice again. Okay. So Tony, Richie James, Sky, MVS, Kelce. So that's four. There's 4 receivers plus Kelce. Fortson, Gray, Rice.
What are you just marking down all our receivers and tight ends?
Yeah. I was going the guys who
Watson.
Watson. Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I'm reluctant to say that. Yeah.
Well, I know, but you got to put it down.
Okay. So
we got some Justin Ross love from the chat too.
I mean,
yeah,
but that's where Ross. That's where he goes in the like. Okay, is he going to be the other guy? So 1, 2. So as of right now, Watson, Tony, James, Sky Moore, MVS, Rice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 receivers. You're going to carry 7 receivers plus you have Kelce, Fortson, and Gray. I know we might not even fill the fullback's position. That might be done with we might be done with the fullback. And then just have a carry extra tight end or an extra receiver to kind of take that off. But Ross, will he make the team? Who of those guys would unless we carry 7 receivers, which could very well happen if Ross were to make the team. But let's say Hopkins is available. Hopkins would make it over Ross. If Hopkins cut, you make it over Ross. Richie James might even be cut for Hopkins.
Yeah.
But I think as is though, I'm very skeptical of that because I'm just putting in Rice having kind of doing what Sky Moore did last year, and you do that, but that's about 200 yards receiving for him. Where my question is, where's the? I don't think Richie James is going to kind of fill in the Juju void. So where are we going to make up that almost 1,000 yards there? Unless you're saying MVS is going to have an even bigger role this year.
I guess you can 1,000 yards, add Sky Moore's 200 to that, and split that between Rice and Sky Moore, 600 each.
Well, you think Rice and Sky Moore have 600 yards?
I'm saying that's feasible.
Oh, between the two of them would have 600 yards.
Yes. That's 1,200.
Yeah. Okay, but then take off 500 from McColl. That's 500 yards there. That's also so between Juju and McColl, that's 1,400 yards already gone now.
Tony.
But how many games is Tony going to play?
I mean, we're counting on him playing a lot. I mean,
I know that, but like we have to factor in this guy gets hurt a lot. That's why I'm saying we shouldn't be done with that. Whether it's D-Hop or adding another veteran guy who's kind of a consistent guy. I don't know.
So if we draft one in the 4th or 5th round, D-Hop's done? No. See, you'll still
wait, we draft another one?
If we draft one more receiver in like the 4th or 5th round.
I mean, I like to draft another receiver, but I just don't. But it goes back to my point. I just don't see a rookie really doing anything in this offense right out the gate. It's fine if we get one to have him in the room, so when other guys become free agents, we have rookies in the room. And I think every year we should be drafting receiver rounds 1 through 4 anyway. I think that just with the modern day NFL, I think we need to go with that.
But you named 4 non-rookie receivers there. You're just not happy with them. That's
no. I was saying Sky had 200 yards last year. Let's give him 200 more.
He's not a rookie anymore.
No. I'm saying let's give him 200, 300 more. Okay, let's give him a McCole Hardman type year, 500, 600 yards.
Yeah, let's give him 600.
Okay. Richie James.
500? Dude, that's not that much. That's like
I mean, okay, I'm seeing a comment here. Okay, yeah. So Ross and Tony should grab 600 yards. Combined, I mean, yeah, I hope more than that between the two of them. But if you're saying they both should have 600 yards, I don't know if Ross will have that.
I hope Tony has more than 600 unless he gets injured.
Me too. James is a 500-yard receiver on the Giants with Dan Jones. He was. You're right about that, but they also had no receivers on that team, so they were peppering. I mean, that team was kind of a disaster. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a big fan of D-Hop, but I think that if he's released, we should still be in play. Maybe not. We're not going to trade any assets for him. I don't think anyone's going to trade anything for him. But being able to pick him up and kind of do a deal with him, like a Juju type deal, but I don't know where that money's going to come from. At the end of the day, the money situation.
We can do the math right now. 1,300 Kelce. Okay. What do we say? Let's say 700 Tony. Is that okay?
700 for Tony, yeah.
700 Tony. Okay.
Yep.
Tony. We said 600 Sky.
Yeah, I can do that.
Go 600 Rice. Fine, I'll go 500 Rice.
You're saying no. You're talking about for dude. That's where the point is. 500 for Rice. It's a rookie receiver. Hardman had 538, and Tyreek Hill had 593 as a rookie. Everybody else outside of those guys, the most other would be Skywire 250 last year. So okay, say 250 for Rice then.
It's all about opportunity, though, right? I mean, like McColl played with Hill and Kelce, who averaged like 300 targets between them. So and he still got a 500 something. So 400 Rice. He's going to have opportunity. If you think Tony's getting injured, Rice is going to have more than 200 yards. I mean, it's just going to have to happen. It's a have to. It's like there's no point unless you think Mahomes is going to have a bad year, which I don't think anyone's going to predict, right?
Yeah, I don't think that.
Let's say 400 for Rice. I think that's pretty good. You can't always base on the guy the year before. I mean, I think
you're basing on the history of rookie receivers not doing shit in this offense. Besides Tyreek and McCole Hardman, outside of those guys,
I'm giving him less than that. I'm giving him 400.
Yeah. Give him 400.
I can also make a case to say Rice is a more polished overall receiver than McCole was out of college.
McCole was a DB becoming a receiver.
Exactly. So if he can get 538, why the hell can't Rice get 400?
Oh, but he was getting on freaking bombs. I mean, Rice ain't gonna be getting bombs.
Okay. 400. Let's go 400. I think that's fair. I gave, I went low on Tony.
Go 400 then.
Someone said Richie James.
Someone said Red Fox said he had 500 with Daniel Jones. I mean,
okay, I'll go 500. That's not even, what's 500? James. Okay, so at this point, what did Watson have last year?
I think it was like 150 or something. Let me see. Watson had 315 last year.
All right, so say 300. Am I forgetting anyone before we go to the wild card, Ross? Are you and Ross?
MVS.
Oh, yeah. Geez, I forgot about
I was MVS about 900.
Yeah, MVS 900.
And that might be lowballing him, to be quite honest with you. I mean, he's the only guy that's been, the only vet in the room, really.
900, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. It's like a pyramid. That's 1,300. It's 4,700 yards.
And that's not you didn't even get Fortson or Gray.
No Fortson, no Gray, no Bell dump offs, no running back dump offs yet.
Yeah.
Whoever we're gonna get, Vaughn, McKinnon, CEH, maybe. Add another 2, 3, 4, 500 between those guys. What are we at? Mahomes is 5,200.
Yeah.
So it's not that crazy. And you have a bunch of guys getting 300 and 400 yards.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of having so many options. Maybe not 1As, maybe not even 1Bs, but B minuses, maybe.
Yeah.
But dude, 400 or 500 yards each. That I think that's their formula from here on out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it takes away the idea of draft or idea of paying a wide receiver big money.
I'll tell you what, if they do get D-Hop, it's gonna be some bad stats for these guys. Give D-Hop 1,300, you're taking away half of Tony's, half of Sky's, half of most of that's coming from James probably.
Yeah.
So you have to give James his stats. D-Hop, it's still 800 yards. You're going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe take away 100 off MBS type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, MBS was 700 yards last year. Yeah, something around there.
Yeah.
I see from I made the point. I say if DeWine keeps sliding, I say we pick him. I 100%. And I think Veach would do that, like with Trey Smith aspect. And Teja made a good point too. Voorhees has the whole medical thing with his knee. He might not even play this year. That's another guy who's going to fall. Quite frankly, we have 5 picks left. Pick DeWine and Voorhees, and just stash those guys on the bench.
Yeah,
give him a medical redshirt type year in the NFL, like what we did with Ross. Yeah, and If Ross is able to get on the field to give us 200 yards, I'd be happy halfway as far as a good year for him. Because, I mean, the guy probably – a lot of people thought the guy wasn't ever going to play again. So if he even gets on the field and gives us 100 yards, I'd be happy with that. So, yeah, I think 500 is going to be going on a limb. But if he stays healthy and you know, he plays his ass off, hey, he could definitely do that. But
just show some flashes for Ross, and it's a positive.
Yeah, if he goes on preseason and dominates in a preseason game, that's amazing. So, Lonnie Phelps, Tage. Lonnie Phelps, what do you think about him? Max Watson's telling us about Lonnie Phelps in the 7th.
I don't know. I don't know. Lonnie Phelps.
Come on, you're the college guy.
Hey, man, I'm not like – I never claimed to be a guru. I just – you know, I got to say, I'm not a guru by any means, guys, but I absolutely hit. I was taking Felix and Rice in the first 2 rounds. So, yeah, I have many screenshot mock drafts of me doing it. So I didn't have Morris. I'll be honest about that.
But did you have Lonnie Phelps? Max wants to know if you have Lonnie Phelps.
I did not have Lonnie Phelps, but there's a lot of edge guys. Dude, the edge is packed. Yeah, no, I see it now. I'm looking at his breakdown right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many. They have a scheme fit as a 3-4 outside linebacker. I mean, you might know more than me about it, but 6th round value, they say. But outside linebacker, best suited for a 3-4.
I think if we are going to get an edge in the 4th round, I think Isaiah McGuire is the guy to go. It's another guy in the Missouri, Kansas area. And I know we like getting those types of guys, so that'd be amazing to get Isaiah McGuire. And because he should be, there's argument for him to be a 2nd round pick, to be quite honest. So now he's falling. I wonder why he's falling. But you said, I mean, it's a deep edge draft, so everyone's got their special thing. Yeah,
there's actually some bigger. It's funny. I'm not sure we knew this was going to happen. There's some big receivers still out there. A.T. Perry's still out there. Xavier Hutchinson's still out there.
I like Hutchinson.
So there's some guys that, you know, at the end, the Army, Andre Carter's still out there. KJ Henry's still out there. These are just names that are possible, you know.
And actually, on our show last week, JD pulled out the measurables of KJ Henry and Miles Murphy and compared the two. KJ Henry actually kind of dominated him, like literally every measurable besides the 40 time. And JD's point is, I mean, who cares who runs a 0.2 tenths of a second, whatever, 40 than Miles Murphy. We just need the guy to get back to the quarterback with a couple of yards away. We don't need him to run a 40-yard dash to go chase down the quarterback. You know?
Yeah, so, no, I totally agree with that. I think it's ridiculous. I think the want to matters more, the motor. We have 2 really high motor guys in Karlaftis and Felix.
Yep.
Like nonstop. It's great. I love having those kind of guys.
Yeah, that's the one thing that whenever he plays Cincinnati, it's always tough to play against because the Hendrickson and Hubbard are freaking nonstop, man.
Yeah. I mean, we can pull out a D tackle. If we can pull out, I mean, I love Jacqueline Roy. If you can get him, you have him next to Jones, Omenihu, or even imagine pass rushing downs. You have Felix, Omenihu, Jones, and Karlaftis on the line on pass rush downs. Dude. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's nonstop.
It's that's really fun to watch. Our defense it's going to start to get really fun to watch soon if these guys keep developing.
Oh yeah, it's so young, man. With Omenihu, Karlaftis, and Felix, so young and so freaking like talented. The defense is becoming just. It's crazy how we talk about Veach is checking off what we need, you know, to kind of flip everything around. In only a few years, man, Veach has revamped his defense, and it's like going from old to this like young, just like vibrant, fun, exciting defense. I mean, in the Mahomes era, it's been kind of a bore to watch the defense for the longest time, and now I'm actually like, it's actually exciting to watch this defense and how young and spry these guys are, and especially with the secondary coming in year 2 of the Fab Five. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, we could have all 3 local schools represented on the D line. You're damn right. If we get Isaiah McGuire on the D line, man, that'd be really awesome. But we'll see what happens with that. I think he's gonna be one of the early guys in the 4th round tomorrow, unfortunately. Yeah, Lewis, you're right. The only way I'll say if D-Hop is coming to Kansas City is if D-Hop gets cut, and then we can rework a deal with him and see how much he really wants to win a championship. It's the ball's in his court at that point, really, because he's a free agent. He can pick and choose where he wants to go. But you're right. I think with Rasheed Rice, I think it might nip that in the bud of getting D-Hop. High Five's asking Teja a question. Is 40 time important for Rasheed Rice? He ran a 4.51.
Let me put it in perspective of other prospects. Rasheed Rice is 6'1", 205. He ran a 4.51, a 1.49 10-yard split, 41-inch vertical jump, 10.8 broad. Jordan Addison, first-round receiver, 5'11", 173. So he's 2 inches taller than Addison and 30 pounds heavier. Addison ran a 4.49, so basically the same 40 time, a 1.56 10-yard split, so a slower split, 34-inch vertical. So Rice, despite being 30 pounds heavier and a 7-inch higher, and a 6-inch broad jump difference. So he measured almost better than Addison in every single category, despite being 2 inches taller and 30 pounds heavier.
It's crazy.
Yeah. He just doesn't play as physical as he looks. That's one of his biggest problems.
Yeah.
But he'll improve all that.
Yeah. I think it was a great pick. It's something we don't have in this offense already. We just sat here and just listed all the receivers we have. Literally MVS is the only guy that kind of is outside the mold that we have a million of with these short, like fun guys, you know. So it's a fun pick, and I'm happy we got to, I know we've been talking about trenches draft, and I was happy we were able to get out of the little trenches thing for a little bit to go get a receiver. It was fun. And I think Rasheed Rice is gonna be great. Really, I do. Hefe, you damn right, baby. I love Hefe's energy, man. Every time this guy's always bringing it. The Rasheed Rice jump ball. And honestly, if you guys haven't gotten a chance to watch his highlights, I know they're highlights, so it's only the good stuff you're seeing. I would really watch Rasheed Rice's highlights. Really fun to watch. Teja put me on these highlights about 2 months ago, and I was like, I always love seeing guys' highlights. Like, it'd be great. No, I don't want to get too attached to some guys, but it's fun.
You saw it as threatening your Hopkins zone. That's why you're like, I don't want to think about another receiver. I'm Hopkins. I'm a one man receiver.
Well, I've matured. I think I moved on from Hopkins, but no, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the Cardinals, how they plan to handle him. But all right, fellas. Well, we thank everyone for coming in to the our day 2 reaction show. We'll be coming at you guys tomorrow after day 3. And I think that's probably gonna end midday tomorrow with the draft.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. We have 5 picks, and we might trade some of them, but we have 5 picks, and it's been a lot to look at. And probably
we have 2 fourths, 2 fifths, and
we have one fourth. We have one
fourth, 2 fifths, 2 sixths, 1 seventh.
We have 1 fourth, 1 fifth, 2 sixths, 1 seventh.
Oh, okay.
But that's what I saw. Are you looking to make sure I'm right?
Yeah. Jeez.
I believe it was 1 fourth, 1 fifth, 2 sixths, 1 seventh.
Yeah, I think you're right. Someone's about to correct us anyway. Yeah, I'm a big Coburn fan. Beach.
Ooh.
I like him.
I know you're a big Coburn fan. You've been talking about him.
1 fourth, 1 fifth, 2 sixths, 1 seventh.
Yep.
That first 6 is the Chicago one. The first pick of the Chicago traded away 2 of their first picks of the rounds.
Crazy.
They traded the Claypool. I don't know what they were thinking on that.
That's
anyway,
dumb.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, day 3 begins at noon. So I'm guessing it's 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 4 rounds. I'm guessing they'll probably be done around 5 tomorrow. So Teja and I will
fly by.
Yeah, Teja and I will be on right when the draft's over. And I'm assuming as we're even doing the live, we're going to be hearing of guys who are picking up the undrafted free agents that we're claiming after. So while on the show, hopefully you guys can help us out and throw in the names of the guys we're claiming during our reaction show to day 3. But thank you guys for stopping in. We loved having you guys. And of course, again, support the channel any way you guys can. We'll take anything, any donation you guys want to give to Chief Concerns. We're happy to have you guys always. Teja and I will be on with Lance. Lance will come back on tomorrow to conclude our draft coverage. But yeah, thank you guys again for stopping in and talking ball with us. We'll see you guys mañana. And again, go look up the Rasheed Rice highlights if you haven't done so already. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.
Later, guys.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.